Welcome back, everyone, to Futsal News Live. It's the regular culprits. It's me, Futsal Jake, and Luke with you guys again this month. We're talking futsal. Just because it's summer doesn't mean there isn't stuff going on. And I got to say, it's been a very busy month since we last talked. Internationally, there's some questions domestically. And then interestingly, there's been a lot of news in the streaming and gaming world that kind of impacts potential growth for, I think, teams and particularly here in the United States who are trying to capture an audience. So we might even touch on that a little bit too, depending on where things go. But before we get too deep into it, Luke, how are you doing since we talked to you last month?
I'm good, man. I'm good. I think I've said this on stream before that I do have a job. I teach middle school art and tech and yearbook, and I'm a middle school teacher. And don't ask me why I do it. But yeah, I wrapped that up, and it was busy. And wouldn't you know that one of the best contests, the Copa Lib, was on when I was wrapping up my year. So I didn't get to watch much of it, but we'll talk about it. But I am excited to be done with teaching. I have like a nice chill summer. Gonna, hang out with Jake a bit. Gonna do a little art. It's gonna be good.
We're gonna have fun. We're gonna stay busy. So I thought maybe something fun we could do, and I'm kind of springing this on Luke, but it's okay. I'll do most of the heavy lifting on this. But we've been wearing gear, futsal gear. I've made sure that I've only worn futsal related shirts during my videos and during the live streams. I wanted to share Luke's jersey that he's wearing today. And if you guys caught my video an entire 2 weeks ago since my last video, and I apologize for that, we'll be back soon with more and more content. But Afro-American out of Northern Ireland, our friend CJ hooked us up with some gear. If you aren't familiar with the Northern Ireland League, they are really picking up the pace and trying to lead a charge there in the UK to foster futsal. Afro-American actually just traveled to Holland for a little summer cup as well. So they're staying busy during the summer months. Make sure you guys find them on social media and make sure you follow the Northern Ireland League. I am wearing a usual t-shirt for me, which is my old supporters group from back in the day when the Akron Vulcans were a thing in Akron, Ohio. But I wanted to maybe start highlighting that stuff for you guys in the live streams and getting you a little more familiar with these teams, talking to some people, I'll say in real life, because I don't know what else to call it when we're not here behind this video camera. They're not familiar with some of the teams we talk about. So we're going to try and use this as a platform to get the word out. So why not talk about the gear we're wearing too?
Right.
So there you go. With that, let's start with the Copa Libertadores for the women. This took place just a couple of weeks ago. It's the South American version of the Champions League. And the women's version has been going on for just a few years, I believe. I think since 2015. I'll actually fact check myself on that right now. 2013. I apologize. 2013. And what I'm going to do is share just kind of the end of this tournament with you guys. I'm sharing this with Luke, and he gets me queued up. Just so you guys know, the women's division is actually a 10-team contest. There's one representative from each country in South America. So basically, the champion from each country comes to this tournament and faces off to see who is the champion of South America. And we saw my favorite team involved, San Lorenzo. I'm having an adult beverage here and repping my San Lorenzo mug. They were in this contest, so I watched them very closely. There was Stein Cascavel, which I believe is affiliated with the men's team, Cascavel Rattlesnakes. I believe there's an affiliation there. And they just ripped through this tournament and made it all the way to the finals and won against Bolivian side Always Ready. Bolivians, this is their first time representing in a final. So they made history there as the first Bolivian team to make it to a final, which was fantastic. They traveled to Paraguay for this contest and really impressed me with their gameplay in the group stage. 2 groups of 5 for the group stage. Top 2 from each group move on. There was 2 or 3 games where they were actually behind in the matches and came from behind and won or salvaged a point. So ton of fight out of a team that is considered a minnow in South America. Well, don't sleep on this minnow because they really put up a huge fight. And the only team that Cascavel really had any trouble with in the group stage was Always Ready. They ended up going on to win pretty handily in the final, but San Lorenzo lost Always Ready in the semifinal. They faced Exa. Oh my gosh, Exa Zati. I don't know how to say this, but that's a Paraguayan side. The head coach of Cerro Porteño's futsal club also coaches this team. I don't know if there's an affiliation beyond that, but that was a really great match for third place at San Lorenzo won. So I was happy to see them come home with some hardware. But interesting note about uh, the Copa Libertadores for the women. I don't know if I told you this, Luke, but a, a Brazilian side has won this tournament every single year since it was created in 2013. So for the last 10 years, it has been all about Brazil.
As you can see, I flew the flag.
I was wondering if that's why that was up there today.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. I don't know if I've shared on stream before my kind of beliefs in futsal and kind of the role it should play in our kind of sporting community slanted towards soccer. Is that I believe the Brazilians get it right, and I visited Rio, and man, it's another world. And it's what's cool is you see soccer goals of all shapes, colors, sizes everywhere.
Yeah,
You can't go more than a block without seeing some sort of soccer goal, and it's just cool. That's the kind of culture I hope to have someday here in the States.
I love that. That's something that we'll probably talk about later is where we're at in the States as far as status as a sport. But for me, I agree. I think that futsal kind of has this back and forth on where it was invented in South America, which country invented it. But regardless of who it was, Brazil has truly embraced it. I think that the street soccer culture that is down there really just didn't have the name futsal until that was made an official sport, more or less. And they just adopted the basically just calling it that. But I think they've done it forever. And football, futsal, soccer, whatever you want to call it, its roots go so deep in Brazilian culture, all of South America, but especially Brazil, most famously. I mean, it's no wonder that they're kind of cleaning things up. I'll share another screen with you and show you this. This is a list of all the teams that have won the Copa Libertadores on the women's side, and there we go. So you can see that. There's a couple of duplicates, but you're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different teams that have won over the years coming out of Brazil. So my question for you, Luke, to kind of get the conversation started is this. So it's all Brazil, even though it's different teams. It's not one team from Brazil that's just a dynasty. What do you think that does for the sport on the continent? Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Would it be better to see some diversity in the countries that are winning this thing for the health of the sport? Or do you think this is just the epicenter of futsal and it's going to be this way for a while?
I think from what I know of Brazilian soccer and futsal is that it's no joke down there, and it's very competitive. It's very, very competitive. And just within your city of Rio, on the soccer side, you have Vasco da Gama, you have Flamengo, you have Botafogo, and you have I'm missing the last one, Fluminense. And that's 4 teams heavily competitive within a city. I mean, the city's huge, but at the same time, I just think what I'm referring to is the density of people, Brazilians that are interested in playing competitive soccer or futsal at some level. So to me, what this says is there's just there's so many people in Brazil just itching to be on top. And so many educated people, so many people have played for so many years with programs that have been in development for years and years and years. I mean, dynasty, I think when you get into something like more of a soccer game, where money kind of exchanges a little bit more than something along the lines of futsal, which is, to be honest, it's a financially it's subservient to soccer. But when you start spending the money, I think you can slant things a little bit more towards a dynasty like a Flamingo, or like like a Barcelona or Real Madrid in the Spanish leagues. But to me, this says like what I think Jake and I talk about all the time and beat the drum of futsal is a uh, developmental sport, and it builds super basic fundamentals of whether it's futsal or soccer. That to me it's a soccer-esque sport. So to me, this just shouts of futsal doing what it's supposed to do, which is developing great players, soccer or futsal, just smart players, good players into the Brazilian system, which is, from what I've heard, Brazilians don't step on an outdoor field until 13, 14. If they're going to go the soccer route, that's when they do it. But up until then, it's futsal. It's futsal. My buddy who grew up there, I said, what's the story? And he's like, yeah, man, no one plays outdoor until you're like 13, 14. And then if you want to go that path, that's when you do it. So this shouts to me like a huge pool of very talented players.
I think so too. I think that at the end of the day, when you're on that continent, Brazil is always, always, always going to be involved in those final stages of any kind of tournament because of those things. They're so uh, adamant about the fundamentals, and I think that's something that's actually lacking in U.S. soccer culture. Is I think coaches across academies, rec leagues, and otherwise sometimes focus on the flashy stuff that, hey, I taught your kid to do this really flashy move, but their fundamentals are garbage. And they get to a point these children get to a point in their careers, whether it be high school or beyond, where their game starts to fail them for that reason. Or worse yet, I could tell you, I've talked to countless kids in our academy when they come to play futsal and we ask them why they did something and they don't know why. It's like, well, we've just been told to do something. Whereas in a place like Brazil, you grew up on the streets, you grew up learning this short-sighted game and improving your intelligence of the game. You do things with a purpose. Your decision making is better, and I think it shows across all aspects. All niches of soccer, whether it be the beach, the street, the court, or the turf. It's all about Brazil, and I think one thing that also kind of is highlighted through international play is how many Brazilians with dual citizenship for other countries show up on these other countries' national teams as well, that
Mm-hmm.
are just as good as the players out from their home, quote unquote, home country. So
Right.
it's a very interesting concept. One thing I always wonder about is, obviously a rising tide raises all ships as well. So I see someone like an Always Ready from Bolivia, and that excites me. Like, okay, here's a club from a country that no one was looking at prior to this tournament, and then they came in and made a ton of noise, fought like hell, and knocked off some big teams. I mean, knocking off a San Lorenzo is no easy feat. Knocking off, competing with Stein is no easy feat. So that's also encouraging to me too, to see that on that continent it's growing and gives me hope for the rest of the world as well, particularly on the women's game, with the women's sports in general growing so much as they are. I think that's really exciting news. So a lot of positives from this tournament, I think.
Just a quick tidbit of information, and I mean I don't know if people out there are familiar with their geography, but the population of Brazil is 214 million people. And that, I think that speaks a little bit into the dominant nature of the women's side. But also think about, just take this into like consideration. Bolivia is 12 million. 12 million. That's their
Yeah,
player pool. And they made that much noise. I mean, yeah, I think it's impressive. And I just
incredibly
think,
impressive.
I just don't think any other country rivals Brazil with population. So I mean, you think about Brazil and just the amount of opportunity, just based on mass. You got there's got to be something to said for that. Like, you're going to get an all-star one in however many people, the Brazil's chances are so high on that because of just based on population alone.
I agree. I think that there's a lot more to pull from. It's a culture, like we said, so everyone's involved from the
Right.
time they can move and kick. So
Right.
they're wearing their home team's jerseys and kits before they even know how to talk. So I think it's really cool. Um, for those of us in the United States that are you passionate and follow the game like I think of the American Outlaws and folks like that. I know people in my life that are very, very, very big soccer fans. Like they're a minority here, but that's normal.
Right.
Argentina, that's normal. Europe, that's normal. I can't wait for it to become normal here,
Right.
and continue to grow. And I'm just talking about the game in general, not even talking about futsal, because that's also going to help. It's going to get more eyes on the sport in general and its niche markets as well. We all grow with that as well. So that's really cool to me. Okay, so that's that. I want to congratulate Stein Cascabel. Very good job. They were extremely dominant. I guess a closing statement on that. Another fun fact. So if you guys are ever on Jeopardy and they start asking futsal questions or something, you guys will be covered. Don't worry.
You'll win.
You will win. I will make sure of it. They did not let in a goal. They did not concede a goal the entire tournament. Think about that.
Big shout to that keeper. Big shout to that keeper.
Oh, and she was. What's interesting is she did very little work. Like just the from the games I saw, I didn't catch every single game, and I'll be honest with you, there was a couple games where they were winning 8-9-0, and I kind of stepped away from the games because I'm like, okay, this one's wrapped up, and at the risk of missing something fantastic, I got to move on. So.
Right.
Some of those games were such big blowouts. It was just like it wasn't even fun to watch him be. I just keep thinking of that Simpsons meme. Stop it. He's already dead.
He's already dead.
But I mean, not to take away from them, it was very impressive how just absolutely perfect everything they did was. Incredible, absolutely incredible. They had two keepers in their roster. They used both, I think, in all games, and both of them did fantastic. The players on the court were all very, very in tune with each other. It was very clear that they play often and had an amazing chemistry. So good for them. But what an interesting stat. Two interesting stats. So, Luke, I guess we should probably stay in South America, correct? For our little
let's do it.
Our little surprise here. So Luke and I, when we watch games, we talk about jerseys a lot. We talk about kits, not because we're trying to be the best dressed of our friends, but because we just think they're cool. And, I like a nice clean kit. I also I particularly like that in futsal. There's some pretty wild kits. Luke, I know you and I've talked about that before. I think you feel the same way, right? You kind of like the unusual and we were talking about the more you guys follow us on these streams, the more and more random I feel like we get. But we were talking about a team in Thailand, Blue Wave.
Right.
They came out with a alternative jersey that is, I think they called it tie-dye. And it was a very interesting kit. And I called it Rainbow Sherbet because that's what it reminded me of. But that's the kind of stuff that we kind of get excited about. So we decided that we would take the teams from the men's Copa Libertadores, because there's some wild kits in that contest. And we tried to figure out a way that we could do like a vote on these. So I am utilizing bracketfights.com. They're not sponsored. They're not sponsored.
They can be.
They can be. Give us a call. We'll do this more often. I think it's going to be awesome. So I've got a bracket put together for us. I made it as random as possible.
Nice.
There's not a perfect even number of kits, so there's a lot of buys in this. Not to worry. Once we get through this first round, it'll all even itself out. So I'm going to blow these photos up. Luke and I are going to talk about them and pick a favorite and see who had. So we already know Cascavel won and are two-time champions in the Copa Libertadores, but who is going to be the champion of the Copa Libertadores kit fight bracket fight? So
not Cascavel.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I love you guys, but that jersey, no. No.
we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it when we get there. Well, okay. So, I wonder if I could have put names on these. I'll talk through them.
Right.
So, on the left, this is Baraka Central from Argentina. This is
Okay.
their secondary kit. It's their all black kit. And on the right, we have Deportes Recollecta. And this is, or no, excuse me, this is Real Antioquia. Oh my gosh, I always mess their name up. Real Antioquia. And this is their white kit with blue accent. It's the only kit they wore for the tournament. Luke, why don't you start us off? What do you think about this one?
So immediately, Baracas has a DC United vibe, and it's already rubbed me wrong. It's already going down the wrong road. God bless him. I just am not a DC United guy. But I'm gonna tip my cap to Antioquia. Is that how we say it?
I think it's Antioquia.
Antioquia.
I think. I
I
always have
like
to say
it.
it really slow.
I like it. I think I'm a fan of the clean lines, the pattern. I like a white kit. I'm a little bit partial, so I'm gonna hand it to them. That's my vote.
For me, it's the same. I like there's always some really interesting kits. This one was really cool. I like that the top of their crest is the top of the kit, that little design inside of the chest bit there.
Yep.
It's a clean look. I like all black kits. I kind of like, but this one just felt kind of plain to me for whatever reason. So
Yeah.
side by side, although I like the black kit, it doesn't bother me as much, even though I'm not a DC fan either. I got to go with the same. All right, so we'll move them on.
Yep.
We got a couple of buys. Let the system catch up here. Okay. Whew. This is one of my favorites because it is noisy as hell. So on the left, from Bolivia, that is Phantasmas. They have a really unique crest as well. It almost looks, the background of the crest almost looks marble. It's not just a clean white background, but this is their white kit. If I could have got a decent photo of the entire kit, this is with white shorts. And then this is Deportes. I'm drawing a blank. Crap. Let me pull up my cheat sheet here. This is green. Who was my green one? Oh, this is Real Antiquia. I'm so sorry. The last one was
there's Deportes
Recoleta.
and then there's also Real Antioquia.
Yes.
They're Colombian. That makes total sense.
Yes, Antioquia here.
That
is
looks
the green.
Colombian.
That's what I should have said in the first place. So I apologize for that. I'll start off with this one.
Yeah.
I like the accents on the green jersey. I feel kind of Irish looking at this thing with the orange too.
Mhm.
But that Phantasma jersey, it's one of those things where I'm looking at so much. Normally that would bother me, but for some reason I love this kit. It's got like the sound waves from like a MP3 on the sleeves, and then it's got that kind of fade in all of the swooshes across the jersey. And I just I don't know. For some reason I should hate it, but I love it.
I think I'm gonna. It's hard because the did we say this is Antioquia?
It is, yes, for real this time.
The Antioquia gives me African vibes, like an
Kinda does, yeah.
an African
Like
country
Ivory
jersey,
Coast or something.
and I like it. I just don't. I
This is a tough one.
love the Phantasmas jersey. I think it's great. I love the black and white. Again, it's simple.
You sticking with Phantasmas? Okay.
God,
All right. So we've agreed on everything so far. I don't know what's gonna happen when we disagree on one. We'll have to figure that out. We didn't plan that far ahead. Okay, so this one, I should have cropped this a little better, but I was short on time. So on the left is Joinville, finalists in the tournament from Brazil. This is their red and black kit. And then on the right, we are looking at the Tigres kit, which is the player on the left. This kit has the Venezuelan flag and stars down the center to the solar plexus, and it has a nice big freaking tiger on the
Oh my
side.
gosh,
Nice
I
clean
love
white.
it.
Otherwise, for me, this is easy. But I should let Luke go first because I went first on the last one.
Tigers, Tigers, man, Tiger
All right, yeah,
blood,
moving on. Moving on. No, what else do we need to
Tigers.
say? It's Tigers. Looks like a badass tattoo.
Oh man, it's
It's on a
so
kit.
good.
All right, so
I already
I
played
guess
my
this
hand.
is going to keep
I
us
already
on one
showed my
side of the
cards on this
bracket.
one.
Yeah, that's true. So I think between these two, it would be. It's all the same colors, which is interesting. I didn't do this on purpose, but for me, all of the sponsors on the Brazilian kits I find distracting. Like, why even bother making a kit design at this point? Um, like I think a few months ago, right? I think Luke, you sent me a tweet of them unveiling their new kit, and to me, it looked exactly the same as this one because I can't tell the difference through all the sponsors.
Right.
So for me, it's easy. It's the Recollecta for me all day.
Yeah.
All right, easy one. Moving on. This is where it's going to get a little tough for me. So on the left, we have Centauros. Centauros won third place in the tournament. First time a Venezuelan side has ever gotten medals, so they made history. One of the host teams here, they were the champions of the league, and that's how they got there. Really cool kit. It's a blue base, red at the top. You got some patterns through it, and then the same thing at the bottom with yellow. Again, it's a noisy kit. It's interesting. On the right is Cerro Porteño, and they have here their white Puma kits with the red and blue at the top with kind of a lot of arrows and triangles going. Luke, what do you think?
Okay, so right off the hop, Cerro Porteño has like this like I think it was the Olympics that were in Utah. The Winter Olympics. I don't know. It has like this vibe of like this like Olympic logo that I've seen before. So but I like it. I like it. It's hard for me, the red, white, and blue. And what's hard with the Venezuelan the Centauros is it reminds me of Barca, and it's not really making me happy. I like it, but it just God bless Barca, but it's just like I feel so fanboy if I like anything Barca. You know what I mean?
You almost
Uh,
feel ashamed to like a big club like that.
it's just hard. I like the angles, and the one thing against Cerro Porteño is it's too much for me. Like it feels too. I feel like I would have like with the white. I want understated. Like I like Sporting Kansas City had a white kit with ghosted hoops. It's either ghosted hoops or ghosted stripes. It was white on white. It was so good. It was so good. And I think they kept the sponsor like really like ghosted as well. It was so good. Like it's just really tasteful. Like LAFC does it too, like really tasteful and understated. So I think I like it though. I'm gonna go with Centauros. I think it's good.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm gonna go Centauros.
Yeah. Uh, so for me, I like both kits
Right.
actually. Um, I think I would like the Cerro Porteño one more if that design was spread out further through the kit
Right.
instead of being all pressed up into the top third of the jersey. But
Does it feel unbalanced to you? Like it's kind of has a weird balance?
yeah, yeah, it kind of does. And there's not, I don't know, like I don't know if it's one of two things. Like if there should just be a straight cutoff, or if it's like I think that'd look even weirder though. I don't know. It's just
There's something.
it kind of goes back to that Phantasmus kit that we were talking about. Like that's a kit that I shouldn't like because there's just so much going on.
Right.
But at the same time, it's like it catches my eye.
Right.
This one is a little more clean than that because the rest is just pure white from the chest down. But oh man,
I don't know.
that's a tough
I
one.
feel bad like rejecting Cerro Porteño because I do like it.
You know,
But
I'll this is going to be my deciding factor because these are kind of neck and neck for me. and I don't know if this is fair or not, but I like Cerro Porteño's main kit more than this one. So I'm going to go with Centauros as well
Okay.
because I think when it comes down to their kit as a
This
whole. Oh, come on. Who
is getting
back
tough.
it together?
Who set this up?
I'm firing that guy.
Who's in charge of the bracket?
Unbelievable. Okay, so again, in the picture on the right, we're looking at the Tigres, not the Cerro Porteño kit. I think for me, I think it's the Tigres kit for me, and I'll tell you why. It's because I really love the national pride in this kit with that flag going down the middle. Like this is a super clean kit. They got their logo blown up real huge on the side, and it kind of reminds me a little bit of my old Akron Vulcans and their kit because they had
They had the
Vulcan
yep.
blown up real big on the
That's
bottom
right.
of
I
the
forgot
kit,
about that.
and so it kind of gives me those same vibes.
Right.
So between the national pride of the Venezuelan flag tied into their kit and the tiger, I'm going to keep it at that. Keep it a buck. Is this going to be the first one we disagree on?
I think where I'm putting it at for my kicker is would I wear it?
Ooh, that's a good point.
Would I wear it?
I guess to be fair, the Bolivian flag is on the Phantasmus one too.
It's the Tigers for me. It's a big cat, and I'm just like, dude, come on! It's a big tiger.
This is the top 5 silliest things I've ever done. I can't believe I'm thinking this hard about it.
So to make the Tigres kit better, it would have more of a understated feel. That the tiger wouldn't be so like just color.
Like if it was gray, gray on white.
Yeah. Like
Or
take
like
the
a white gray,
Phantasma, like take the Phantasma and the Tigres kit and just put them together.
Yeah, tie those color schemes together and add that. It will look really clean. Ooh.
Oof.
All right. I think I already know the answer to this one for Luke because one of these kits we've talked about a lot. So on the left, we have Pantalon from Peru. And on the right, we have Peñarol. This is their secondary kit. So this is Pantalon's main kit in the pink. Peñarol, this is their secondary kit in gray. Luke, what do you think?
Pantalon all the way.
Easy peasy. Easy peasy.
The Panthers, man.
So these guys, I like this kit because I like the texture of the kit. It's not just straight pink, which is I believe what it was last year. And then just this line down the middle, this really light double line down the middle, I really like.
I love it. The gray is too boring. The gray is way too boring.
It is. If it wasn't for the sponsors, it wouldn't look like it looked like they showed up in t-shirts for me.
Right.
I don't know.
Right.
Okay. So we're down to, I believe, the semifinal on this side of the bracket.
Okay.
So we've got Recollecta versus Centauros. For me, see, because I appreciate the clean and the noisy.
I do. I know. I hear what you're saying.
There's a place for both.
This is tough.
This one, I thought it'd get
It's a
easier
lot.
once we got to like 2 completely different styles, but
I thought it'd be easier than this.
me too. I thought we'd whip through this. We'd have to fill the time, but this is going on. This is good though. This is fun. We haven't done this before, and if people like this, I might cut this down and edit this a little bit and make it a video by itself of us doing this and having some fun. And if you guys like it, then join us for the next one. Pick a league you want us to do it with, and we'll do it some more.
Heck yeah.
So for me, oh boy, I think I would rather see. I think I would wear the Recollecta shirt. Going by your thought process, Luke. Not to say I wouldn't wear the Centauros one. I just appreciate it. But I think it's Recollecta for me on this one. That's just a clean kit. Clean.
We're gonna have to figure something out because I'm Centauro.
Oh, you're on Centauro. Okay. So we might be able to. How can we move on from this? Maybe I can.
Because I would wear the Centauro one.
Maybe we'll come back to that. Let's see if I can come back to that. Can I do a next? Oh no, it's gonna make us go through. Okay, let me think.
Tiebreaker.
Tiebreaker should be. All right. Pick a number between just one or two. One or two.
2.
Oh, that's Recollecta. Are you okay with that?
Hey, I'm fine
Is
with
that
it.
fair?
It had to be
Are you
broken
sure?
somehow. Yeah.
Okay. I didn't want to make it too obvious. Like, but that's a little bit of mind games too. So I don't know whether.
Oh my gosh.
Okay.
Why are you putting these
All
on?
right. How
Do
these
we
end
have
up
to
on the
do
same
this
side
side
of
of
the
the
bracket?
bracket first? Oh, we're doing this side and
I
then the
wish
other
I could
side.
skip these. Okay. So we have Tigres and Pantalon. Hmm.
This is like all my favorite kits. I don't think I'm gonna like any of the other ones on the others.
What if we just fly through the other side of the bracket?
Okay. Okay.
Oh man.
So
So the good news is Recollecta only wore one kit during this entire tournament, so we
okay.
do not have to see them again after this.
Okay. Uh, if you let me, if because I'm snooping and I see the other side of the bracket and
Yeah,
the Tigres other kit is on the other side.
it
I'm
is.
I'm I'm saying Pantawalon on this one.
Are you okay? See, I thought about that too, but I like this Tigres kit better than the other one.
Really?
But I think for me, it's still Pantalon. I just really like that. Like
I
I
do too.
normally pink kits, I'm usually pretty indifferent, but I really like this one. Okay, now you've done it.
Jeez.
I know. I know. I can't believe it didn't make us go through like down on both sides of the bracket.
Right.
We
I'm
could have
s-
done that if we didn't do this matchup, but I want to blow up the picture for the screen so people can see what we're looking at.
right. I'm still Pantawalon.
I think so too. I can't believe that's the easiest one we've had.
I love it. I love the
I
pink
just really like
craziness.
that kit. I really like that kit a lot. No disrespect to that Recollecta kit, obviously, for as far
No,
as we
no,
pushed it
no.
through. All right, so Baracus is through automatically because I didn't have anybody up against them. Okay, so Centauros is back. This is their secondary kit in the red, a little more subtle than their blue one. And then we have Tigres here again with the tiger, with the straight blue kit. They still have a little homage to Venezuela in the collar there, if you can see that in the
Hmm.
collar of the shirt. Both these teams are from Venezuela, so we got a little Venezuelan show off here on the other side of the bracket. Luke, what do you think?
I like that kit. I like the Tigers. I like the
Yeah,
Tigres.
I think I
Tigres.
like it. I think I like it better than Centauros for sure. The red one just is kind of
Yeah, it feels kind of sponsory. I don't know.
yeah. Okay, we're going through some buys here. Okay, so SS
Oof.
Boca from Ecuador. They were huge underdogs in this tournament that took a lot of scalps, which was awesome. And then we have Pantawalon's black kit. For me, this is the black kit I want to wear. Is this one?
Right.
Are you thinking the same thing, or do you like that Boca?
Is it a kind of a sunbursty thing down there?
It
I don't think I
is,
saw
yeah,
this. I didn't think I saw. I don't think I saw him play.
yeah. They, I thought they had. I dug through all the vods because I was like, I could have swore they had two kits this
I'm
tournament,
still
but
on
they
the.
didn't.
I'm still on the black kit. I think it.
I think so
it's
too.
super. I think it's super clean.
Yeah, this is the one. Like, if this is the one I black kid of the group, I could see myself wearing
The
every
other
game.
one just feels too.
Well, one of two, and we'll get to
The,
the second one soon.
the other one feels too like. It feels generic, like you pull it off the shelf.
I feel like it's almost like the clip art of jerseys.
Yeah, I didn't. I like it, but I think it's just not. It's not enough for me.
Yeah. Okay. That's enough of that. We'll go to Pantalone. So already a little easier than last time on this side of the bracket. So here we have Baraka's main kit, which is their traditional white and red stripes, red shorts to match their crest. And on the right is Champions Cascavel, who and their blue kit with some red accents. For me, Baracas all day on this one.
All day. I just think even if you took the sponsors off the Cascavel jersey, I don't think it's good. Plus
It's
the low neck. I'm like,
yeah.
I
I'm
never
not a
like when.
huge fan of that.
Do you remember when was it Newcastle did the ultra low neck? Like Puma had some
Was that an
really
Adidas thing for a while? Because didn't Fulham
no.
do the same thing the same
It
year?
was Puma, and
Oh, it was Puma.
they
Okay,
were ultra tight, and they had really low necks. Do you remember that?
I don't.
It was so bad,
I'm
dude. It
thinking
looked
of
like
something
they
else, I
put
think.
it looked like they were borrowing their girlfriend's shirts all the time. I was like, dude, no, that's not it. This is not the
Oh,
new style.
yeah, don't let this catch on. Well, Baracas it is then. Okay, so far so good. We've made it. Okay, so here's where I struggle.
Ooh,
Here's where I struggle because I really like that Cerro Porteño kit.
that.
It's got some action on it, but not as noisy as their secondary. I like that. I like the white shorts. I think it complements the kit and kind of doesn't wash anything out. Whereas that like the Tigres kit is just pure blue with that singular tiger on it. I don't know. For me, it's Cerro Porteño. I know I'm putting you in a bad spot here because I know what you like.
Okay, so I would wear the Cerro Porteño kit all day long,
Uh-huh.
but I would also want that tiger kit just because I want it. Like just because it has a tiger on it. I'm gonna go with the Tigres.
Are
I
you
mean,
okay?
the thing is that I love it, but the thing is like uniqueness is what's winning out here. The uniqueness of the Tigres. I mean,
Okay, so completely.
I've seen the Cerro Porteño kit a lot. It's great. It looks good, but the uniqueness of the tiger, I just got
The
to go with
tiger
it.
is really cool. It reminds me of like an old school tattoo from World War II or something.
Right.
Okay, so A or B?
A.
All right, you got your Tigres, Mister.
Eh.
There we go. All right, so we're good. We're even now. All right, so we're back to a noisy kit, and then we've got something else. So we've got
Something else.
Phantasmas. This is their secondary kit. It's their black kit. It's got a ton of striped lines through it in different directions. Really noisy, kind of crazy. Not as noisy as their white kit, but still quite a bit going on the kit. And then we have Joinville's primary kit, which has their crest accents across the shoulders and on the edges of the cuffs. And then if you look extra closely to this, I don't know how clear it is on stream because this isn't the best picture I took off of a
Right.
screen grab, but you can see the Joinville logo crest in the collar of the shirt as well. For me, it's Phantasmas. That's the one I can see myself wearing. Again, the amount of sponsors that are on the Brazilian kits, no knock on the Brazilian teams and how they fund what they do. I'm glad they find a way to do it, but I think it just takes away from the kit.
Yeah, I'm on Phantasmas too. I like the black and white.
And it's kind of the same. I feel like the Joinville kit has the same problem that Cascavel ones do. Is there's just not a lot there. Like even if you take away the sponsors, I mean that's a nice clean white kit. I wouldn't trust myself to wear it because I'm a sloppy person. When I'm if I'm wearing white, I'm getting something on me for sure, 100%. So it all it does is give me anxiety for the day when I wear white. Uh, but I would like the kit if it didn't have the sponsors on it. But even then, I think it's just missing a special something.
Right.
Okay. Phantasmas continues on. So now we've got uh Pantalones secondary kit, the black that we voted for earlier, against Peñarol's primary kit. This year they went with 5 stripes on the kit. As opposed to I think last year they had 7, so there was just that was broken up a little bit more.
I'm gonna go Pantalone only because I do like the gold and black stripes, but I think German team. Why am I losing it?
Dortmund.
Dortmund. I think Dortmund
Yeah.
right away.
For me, it's the Pantaloon kit as well. I'm just not a fan of the vertical stripe for some reason.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why. They don't bug me. It's just not my first choice. I don't know.
Really?
And
Interesting.
I might be a little biased against Peñarol as well because I have good friends from Uruguay and they cheer for their rivals. So maybe I'm just biased. I don't know. We'll blame it on that later if anybody asks us from Peñarol. Okay, so Baracas and Tigres. For me, I vote the Tigre kit over Baracus because it's unique.
Same.
Okay, easy one. Welcome to the semifinals.
Oh
T-Face.
no.
Now it's getting tough. Here's another tough. Man, the other side was way harder than this side.
Yeah. We had a
But
couple
still.
gimmies. We had a couple gimmies in this one.
Yeah, I think so too. Okay. Whew. What do you think, Luke?
Phantasmas.
Really? That
Yeah.
surprises me.
I the only thing, like if I look at them right now and I put on the Phantasmas or I put on the Pantawalon, the sponsors again are the rubbing point for me. Like
Oh, okay.
I did the not that it bugs me, like I wouldn't wear it, but if we're going purely on kit merit, I feel like I'm representing the kit more on Phantasmas, and I like that more. Like the design to me uh, stands up on its own, and there's nothing distracting it. And if I put on the Panto alone, I feel like I'm repping like a lot of like logos. I do love it, and I would wear it, but the design to me, if we're going purely on kits and what I like better as far as the kit goes, I feel like the design on the Phantasma stands up more on its own.
I agree. I agree. So before I press this button, though, I want to talk to you about something. Speaking of black kits, so there's one kit I didn't include from the tournament, and it was Joinville's, bless you, third kit. So they had a third kit that was purely black, and all the writing on the kit was like a shiny black.
Oof.
So it was a completely blacked out kit, and you could not tell what any of the sponsors were. I couldn't tell what the numbers were on the back of the shirt. I can't believe that kit is allowed, like for referees to have to try and figure that out on the fly, for fouls and goals and things. But I don't know. For me, it was like way too much black, and there was a kit I really liked that San Lorenzo had. It was a third kit they had that kind of played in. They have multiple nicknames, but one of them is the Crows. And so they did this black kit that was like a crow kit, and it had just a slightly lighter black, as weird as that sounds, over top of it. And it was kind of that glossy finish. And it looked really clean, but this one was almost black on black to a point that you couldn't see it.
Right.
What do you think about those kinds of kits?
I do like them, and I think I had the same sentiments that you did, which is it has to be done tastefully, and it can't just be. It has to. I mean, it has to be a kit first and foremost.
Oh
Like,
yeah,
you have to have numbers, and you see them, and your crest. So numbers, crest, and a good look. I hate saying this, but it's true. LAFC does a fantastic job at that. Their kits are
they
so
do.
clean. Sporty Kansas
Yes.
City has done it for a long time. They hit and miss sometimes. I think LAFC has hit it out of the park a lot. I don't watch other leagues a lot. And I think a lot of I think what you get in these American leagues is some really new school stuff. They're willing to do that kind of new school stuff. And I think what you get in like older leagues like English leagues or Spanish leagues, you get a lot of tradition. So they're not super willing to break away and do these like crazy things unless they're third kids. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and that was definitely a third kit for Joinville. I think they wore it once in
Yeah.
I want to say semifinal. But yeah, it was just interesting. I was just curious what your take might be on that.
Right.
Okay, semifinal.
Oof.
Staying difficult. We got that Phantasmas kit and the Tigres kit. Which do you think, Luke?
Tigres.
Yeah.
I just think like if I wore a kit and I'm walking around and you know someone's going to talk to you about it, right?
Right.
Someone's going to say something. I would rather talk to them about the tiger on my kit than the lines on my kit. That's my reasoning. Whatever it may be.
I'm having a hard time with this one. They're both unique for different reasons. Yeah, they're cool.
I want both.
I think I go with I do want both. I think Tigres edges it out just barely for me. just barely. Like
Right.
my eyes keep reverting back to that one, which is crazy because earlier
Oh
I
my
said that
gosh.
I like the white kit better than the blue one, but even then I slightly like that one better.
Is this our
Okay,
is this our final?
this is the final. This decides our champion jersey. So for me, as far as that tiger has carried Tigres, I think the pink Pantaloon was my favorite kit of the tournament. Did I just screw up our final?
No. I'm just like I'm saying, if I give it to Pantalone, am I gonna shortchange the Tigres kit because I liked it? I thought it was cool. It's just strange enough. Like it doesn't have like this glorious. The Tigres kit doesn't have like this glorious like, oh look how beautiful it is and like all the like intricate details. Like it's a tiger.
It's
It's
a
a tiger.
tiger on the side of the shirt.
It's a
Yeah.
tiger on the side of a shirt, which is
Yeah.
cool. It's kind of like like boys and they're like it's
I
loud
inadvertently
or
put you in a bad spot here because these are probably your top two kits from the tournament, aren't they?
yeah, these are
Like
the
this
two
is
I
probably
like the
true to
best.
form, right? I mean, this is
Yeah.
pretty. I would switch that Tigres with the home kit, and these are my top two kits. So I'm pretty close to the same. If
I
the
did like the
Pantalo
blue
alone one
better.
wouldn't have knocked out the white one, that would have been
I
the
like the blue Tigres better than the white one. I just did. I don't know why. I think it works better. I just think like with the white, I wanted something different with the tiger. I felt like it would have worked better. With the blue, I'm okay with the tiger the way it is, probably because of the blue and orange combo, the complementary colors. I think it looks good. Um, I'm running out of little isms to like merit them on. I would wear them both. Golly, I don't know. I
That's
don't
the thing.
know.
I would too. I would easily rock either of these. And if there's some place we can buy these kits, guys, please let us know.
Right. I messaged a few people and I get no response.
Oh, did you really?
Oh yeah, I messaged some people and they're just like, nope. I've
We
even
certainly
messaged them
have.
in Spanish too, and they're like, nope.
Dang.
Okay, so last little bit, and this is my own little thing, and I'm gonna edge out for Tigres
Ah.
and this doesn't have anything to do with kids. This is like a tiebreaker clause for me personally. Is Tigres brought the first female coach to the Copa Lib?
Yes, they did.
And that's the edge
First
they
in
get.
history for the men's tournament.
And I got 3 girls at home, so I'm voting Tigres.
Okay, that's fair. It's a good tiebreaker. My daughter would appreciate that too if she was old enough to know better.
If she knew what we're talking about.
Yeah, if she had any clue what we were talking about. She'd be pressing all the buttons on my keyboard right now, completely oblivious. She's not even 2 yet, guys. It's not a knock on my own daughter. Easy,
No, no,
easy.
no, yeah. They're just oblivious.
Yeah, right. Man, I don't know. I just like the subtleness on the pink. Like I feel like you could take that Panto Alone kit and make it any other base color and it would look awesome.
True.
Like you could do like that traffic cone green and it would look good. You could do the black looks good. I mean, you could do pretty much any neon color with this
Mhm.
and some standard colors. And I think it'd look really super clean. Oh boy. Okay. We have no choice. One or two.
I'm gonna stick with 2.
Two was Tigres.
Oh my gosh,
Tigres
Tigres
wins
won.
it out. So there we go. Congratulations. Here's how it all broke down. Recoleta did way better in our tournament than they did in real life. So did Phantasmas. Uh, so did Tigres.
Right,
But yeah, I just thought this would be a fun thing to kind of highlight
right.
some of the teams and keep saying their names and getting them out there
Mhm.
to the viewers outside of the continent. You know, most of our viewers come from the US and even England.
Right.
Um, so I just wanted to do something that kind of expose some other teams in other parts of the world. Thought this would be a fun way to do it. So um, if you guys want to follow any of these teams, they're pretty easy to find. Most of them are on Twitter. If they're not, Um, I can tell you Penta Walona is extremely active on Facebook. They're one I follow on Facebook. Um, Cascavel is more popular. They're more active on Facebook than they are on Twitter as well. So if you guys are utilizing all your social media platforms, just a couple tips to follow some of those teams. Uh, some of these guys, they have pages, but they don't do much, but they're out there.
Do you find a lot more Facebook in the South American region than Twitter or anything else?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I do. I feel like San Lorenzo, I see a lot on Twitter. Um, Boca Juniors out of Argentina, I feel like I see fairly often on Twitter. Um, Outside of that, I feel like most of these guys are hanging out on Facebook.
Right.
The
I find
Brazilian
that true
teams
as
for
well.
sure seem to be on Facebook. The Peruvian teams, I find all my information on Facebook.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, and I think you and I've noticed too, Luke, that Central America is the same way with Costa Rica doing a lot of their streams on Facebook and that kind of
Mhm.
thing.
Yeah, I find a lot of streams on Facebook. I find a lot of Red, who's is doing a phenomenal job in Argentina, is on YouTube, and they're doing an excellent job. And then there's another
Yes.
TV station I think in Argentina that covers some off games.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think a lot of Facebook
Seaport
stuff.
TV.
I wish they would switch over to YouTube because I think YouTube has a better stream quality than
I
anybody
agree.
else. It just Facebook is just it's not good. So if you guys somehow in some of the South American, Central American leagues are listening to this for some reason, get off Facebook, go to YouTube. Facebook's no
Yeah.
good.
You know what's interesting? So this is a good segue into something that's not exactly a futsal conversation, but just interesting when we talk about platforms and the future of um, streaming over TV deals and stuff like that.
Right.
So I wanted to kind of kick this around with you because you know a lot about this space
Yeah.
and we're kind of living in it together
Right.
between this channel and helping the NFPL. But with the things that are going on in streaming, a few years ago, there was a massive streaming war between Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Uh, Facebook just really never quite took off for whatever reason. I think there was a lot of things we could get into on that as far as maybe some vulnerability of being able to talk in a chat and anyone can click on your name and see your profile and your family and all that stuff. Um, Whereas YouTube's the complete opposite. You click on someone's name, all you can do is block or report. You can't even go to their YouTube channel. So that's one thing I don't like about YouTube's chat, among a few things, but is if someone from an actual big channel is in a chat with you while you're watching a live stream, you can't just click on that and be directed straight to their page. You have to interrupt the live stream you're watching, go back and search for them, hit the subscribe button, go back to the stream, hit live, make sure you're up to date. Um, but the other thing I think too is when you fast forward to today, Twitch, although they've ultimately, I think for decades been the top streaming platform for the gaming community, and eventually for other things, which is I think possibly part of their downfall, is really making some interesting business choices right now. That kind of they claim is for the viewer, but I think really is greedy. They're getting a little greedy with the splits. They're getting a little greedy with when you get the splits on monetization and what you can do once you're monetized on their platform. They're really cracking down on how you can advertise. It just seems like YouTube's discoverability is a lot higher than what it is on Twitch. And I would even throw 11 in there. I really, this is my take. It's just one person's opinion, but I think 11 Sports is the worst possible place for anyone to stream. For not only is it an awful viewing experience, but you have to be consciously thinking about wanting to watch futsal or soccer or whatever you're going there to see.
Right.
Whereas on YouTube, you catch the casual viewer that's not looking for futsal or is not looking for soccer or is not looking for that semi-pro team. But
Right.
because of the algorithm and where you are in the world and what your favorite videos are, it may suggest it to you. And so
Discoverability.
discoverability is huge. It feels like on YouTube, and I'm seeing it in action with a Twitch streamer, an old Twitch streamer that I really enjoyed that is now on YouTube. I'm watching him really grow substantially by making that switch, and I think it could also benefit our community if we get on YouTube, share each other's stuff. It's an
Right.
easy platform. It's run by the largest search engine in the world, Google. I mean, you're going to get found. Look, I don't know if you feel any different about it, because we've talked too about how the viewing experience on Twitch is far superior to YouTube right now. But
I
do you
think
retain viewers there, or do you go where you get found?
I think I feel similarly. I mean, Twitch started with video gaming, and they've never really left it. I think they kind of that's still their bread and butter. They branched out a little bit into some creators, and I think the art community, especially, is feeling super hard done by Twitch. I think a lot of the discoverability is super like high on the list for a lot of people that are low level streamers. I think they feel swept under the rug, and they bolster kind of the platform. They add the bulk of those numbers when they brag numbers over at Twitch, and I feel like a lot of them feel left in the cold. They really hit hard on just the what's it called, affiliate or whatever they call that, the first entry level.
Yeah, I think
um,
it's affiliate then partner, right?
and then YouTube, I feel like it's great, but again, you're in a huge pool, and they don't give anything to live, which is the playground we play in a lot. And I feel like it's time for the fruit basket upset, which is Kick is coming in here starting to make some noise in that way.
Yeah, I agree. And Kick's interesting because of how it's funded and who it's funded by. Uh, certainly creates some noise in the background with it being funded a lot by gambling companies, betting companies. But I think that it's important to have healthy competition, and I don't think you necessarily get that from just two different streaming platforms. So hopefully they bring something that Facebook didn't, and bring us back to you know getting a better viewership the whole way around for everyone. Did I lose you, Luke? I think we might have lost Luke for a second. But yeah, that's something that's interesting that I think anyone who's thinking about streaming and where they stream should consider. Um, and then YouTube taking advantage of the Twitch situation, and Twitch upsetting a lot of their content creators has lowered the bar for the first level of uh, of monetization. So that's the other interesting thing as well, is you're looking at a lower entry point than it was even a month ago to get monetized and fund either your league or your team, or even yourself. So very interesting stuff going on in the streaming world that could indirectly have an impact on us. So we'll see where things go from there. I think from there, one of the things I wanted to make sure we covered tonight, and it kind of goes along with the streaming bit. We did not cover this US League in great detail the last time we were together. The Futsal Championship Series, Futsal Champions Series, excuse me. I'm going to share this with you guys. So this is a league that Jeremy Klepall runs. We've talked about him before on the channel. But
Sorry about that, guys. I had to take care of something real quick. Sorry.
Oh, you're back. Oh yeah, no worries. Welcome back. So I was just getting into the FCS.
Oh,
So
good.
back in late May, they announced that they had received so many quality applications for the next series that they were closing down applications early,
Right.
and then kind of surprised us as we were watching uh, by announcing that they would have promotion and relegation through the FCS series.
Hmm.
So if you guys have followed the videos we've done in the past on FCS, FCS does a short season twice a year. There's a fall, I think they call it a fall and a winter season. Um, it's always been 4 teams. Um, they've all played each other once or twice and then gone into a playoff where all 4 teams participate, and seeding is decided from those regular season games. It appears now there'll be more at stake. So not a lot is known yet. News is still kind of breaking out of FCS. They've announced this in pieces to keep our attention over the summer, which I think is smart, but it's also killing me because I want to know what's going on. So there will be the traditional Champions Series, there will be a premier level of the series, which is kind of like your second level, and then a local league, and then there will be pro and rel through those three series. Um, Luke, I'm curious, what's your take on this move by FCS, considering where they were going into this year?
So I definitely have opinions here. First and foremost, you have to address this is coming out as the futsal championship series. So to me, immediately with the logo, you're talking professional. So it looks like the NBA logo, right? That it looks like that's what they're going for. So they don't state anything out and out, which I have a little bit of beef with people who say like, the major league soccer or the premier league, this and that. I take a little bit of contention with that. I just feel like number one, like I'll even put our own NFPL on blast, like National Futsal Premier League. Like you're an amateur league. It is. It's just it's an amateur league, and that's just where we're at. And I'm okay with, stating the facts. So back to FCS. FCS is you know conducting themselves as a professional league, and they've talked about pro rel and all of this stuff. Number one concern: why should I care? Why do I care? I don't get to watch it unless I live in the Midwest and live close to Lansing and want to drive to Lansing to watch each game. I would. I would go watch some, but at the same time, you know, we just talked about like YouTube and Facebook and Kick and Facebook, all these streaming platforms to create your bigger pool to grow your product. So, I mean, I'm fairly certain Jeremy would say at the end of the day, yes, I do want more fans, but at the same time, why? Like I said, I have a lot. Like he has the best futsal facility in America, hands down. It's the best futsal facility in America. Why would you not show that to people? To me, and I've talked with this with people, like streaming is easy. At a very base level, it's easy. At a very high level, it gets really complicated really fast. Don't get me wrong. I know that there's like a lot that goes into some of these higher end productions, but one camera up in the stands, cameraman panning back and forth. You don't even have to have announcers. Announcers is good and you should have them, but why do we care? We don't know who the players are. We don't know who the teams are. We don't get to watch the games. And I'm fairly certain anyone who's a sports fanatic wants to watch live events. And that's why stations like ESPN are still around, is because people want to watch live sporting events. No one wants to go watch the replays. You're like, just think about it. If you're a football fan or you're a baseball fan or you're a basketball fan, you'll do it. You'll watch the TiVo, to bring back a really old term. You'll watch the recording and go back and watch it, but you're bummed. Like if you say, oh, we got to go to Susie's house during the game, you're like, dang it, I want to watch that game. I mean, are you the same way? Like you're like, I really wanted to watch that game. So that's the big issue with FCS is stream. We got to know what's going on for us to care about your promotion relegation. Otherwise, like, oh, Migos got promoted to the Premier League. So, like, why do we even care? So that's kind of where I'm at. Is they have a beautiful facility. Let's see it. Let's see it live. Let's get to know these teams. I want to care. I do want to care about them. I just don't. I don't want to go back and pop up the restream or watch the highlights. I want to watch the live games. I want to see the drama unfold. That's me.
Well, the worst part about that even is there's not much for highlights. Like
No.
the only way outside of Lansing to know what's happened is to have a friend that plays in the league, or to read their like news wrap ups on their website.
Right.
And neither of those things interest me. Like I don't know. I have a really hard time because I've talked to Jeremy at length on the phone about what he's trying to do up there.
Yeah.
When I very first started the channel, he was one of the first people I talked to. about getting advice from him on how I thought this should work. And I took a lot of his advice to heart, and it's kind of created the structure of what we do. I've tried very hard to be neutral in the videos the best I can. I know I don't always. I admit that. I'm not going to make you guys go check any receipts. I'll admit to that. But we've kind of used this platform of the live stream to be able to talk candidly and have opinions. And then the videos are meant to be a little more informative and make your own decision.
Mm.
But a lot of that was inspired by Jeremy because, he looked at the sport and, what podcasts and streams have done up to this point for the sport has been very, very, very little impact as far as longevity is concerned. And it's because a lot of folks in this space want to be cheerleaders for the sport and they kind of ignore the dirty laundry or the things we do poorly. So as much as it pains me to do this to Jeremy, when I look at FCS and I put on a neutral hat and think about the pros and the cons, Luke, you and I've talked about this 100 times off stream, and I agree 100%. The fact that there's no way to follow this league outside of Facebook posts makes it very hard to stay emotionally invested in. If I didn't like Jeremy as much as I did, I would not be following this page. That's the only thing that keeps me around. So from the perspective of me being a fanatic in the sport and being a minority in this country, being a fanatic for futsal, that should be concerning, I think. The other thing that I'll take a little bit different take on this, and this is not us crapping on Jeremy's work. This is us just talking about what our struggles are as just a fan of the sport. Like you said, fantastic facility. He is extremely intelligent person when it comes to this stuff. I've talked to him about how he structured the league originally, and I really like his concept. He's truly trying to grow the sport organically and help teams and other team owners grow the sport and learn. This is kind of that safe space to do that, for lack of a better term. But when I look at this 4-team contest suddenly having 3 layers, the very first thing that comes to mind is, like, why not just do a full season?
Yeah.
With multiple teams.
Yeah.
Like, do you really need a champions and a premier, or can you just have a field of 8 teams and do something all season long like the NFPL does? And then again, it goes back to what I just talked about while Luke was resetting, with the streaming platforms having that extra bit of competition to make everyone better. We really need that here in the States. And I could rant on that forever. I mean, we would stream till Saturday if you let me on that. But the thing is like this structure, and again, like I said when we very first introduced this tonight, not a lot is known about this. The details are trickling in. They're kind of feeding us little bits to keep us interested, and they certainly have my attention. So they're winning in that department. He's doing that right. Okay. But for me, Pro Rel coming to a league that last season only had 4 teams makes 0 sense to me. And the concept of the local part of that as well, when you go back to that post, I hate to scroll on you guys while we're talking and not doing my research, but I know that there was a post somewhere in here. It must have been this one. Yeah, right here. Let me highlight this. The 3rd division will be labeled local. This features men's teams, local futsal teams, and other teams that might usually compete in rec leagues. So creating a local league, I think, is going to be insanely healthy to keeping people interested in futsal. Is tying it to FCS necessary? What do you think?
Okay, so there's the outside view, like the view of me pretending like I don't know anything, like behind the scenes on FCS, and there's also the fact that I do know, and like I've spent a couple hours on the phone with Jeremy as well, and I've heard his heart, which is hard because what I heard from Jeremy, personally about FCS is golden. I love it. I think he's absolutely got it correct, because I'll pull the curtain back. I don't care. I'll kind of like say some things that maybe shouldn't be said in public, but who cares? Where I don't think it's any mystery that amateur teams struggle. They don't struggle with the desire to play futsal. They don't struggle with the amount of people that they can get to play futsal. Where they struggle is finances. Finances. I mean,
Yes.
it's a huge thing. So, Jake, if you're a young man, we'll take men's league. I know no slam against women. I'm just going to take them as the example. You're a young man. You're starting out at your job. You're low man on the totem pole because you're 20 something playing futsal, right? That's just the facts. Uh, I can attest I'm really old. I can't play anymore. um, you're a young man. You're taking all this time to play futsal, to go to practices, to go to games, to travel. And I know for a fact, what is it, Jake? 8 hours from Ann Arbor to Wisconsin to Minneapolis, St. Paul
I believe so.
ish.
I believe we looked at that and it was something like that. Yeah.
So it's an 8 hour drive. So if you're playing Joy, we'll just take NFPL because I know NFPL. You're playing Joy. You're driving 8 hours to go play a futsal game that you're not getting paid to do. It's a lot. It's a big ask, and I think this is where the seams of these leagues get stretched. And I mention all of this, and I talk
Yes.
about all of this because what Jeremy has created is genius. It's actually quite genius. Um, he's quelled all these needs for all these travel constraints. He's kept it under one roof. He's provided a great facility. He's created kind of a hive mind of sorts for releasing information to these clubs like, hey, this is what I've learned. Hey, I have the facility. Hey, if you're struggling with money or if you're struggling with players, hey, I have these pools of players you could go grab. If you need more reliable players, hey, grab this guy, grab this guy. It's all under one roof. It's actually kind of smart. It reminds me of what MLS is doing on like a really micro scale. He's got all the teams under one roof. He bolsters them up and he keeps it competitive. Kinda. I mean, it just ish. Um, but at the same time, I think just with all that said, I feel like it's like NFPL over here struggling with the finances and struggling with the travel, and FCS over here struggling with relevancy and in the game. So I feel like if NFBL could kind of come do this, and if FCS could come and do this, I think we would even out, a little bit. And I just feel like I want to tell Jeremy, like, you need to be out there. I think your product could grow even more if you're out there, and then you take these top tier teams that are being pro rel. And I do agree with you on the pro rel. It's cart before the horse-ish a little bit with me. I would, maybe roll it out in like a 2 tier system. Like these teams go up, these teams go down. But
Yeah.
to go 3 tier just feels kind of maniacal.
I feel like I think there's an opportunity, particularly in Michigan. I feel like Michigan is an underrated soccer state. And I also see that their futsal scene is much healthier than the surrounding states.
Right.
Me being from Ohio, it's always tough for me to say Michigan's doing anything better than us. But the reality is their futsal culture there is well beyond what's going on in Ohio, what's going on in Indiana, in Illinois. Outside of Chicago, I don't think there's really much for a futsal scene any different than the other, Midwestern states. But Michigan kind of has this silent revolution going on in futsal.
Right.
So here you have Jeremy, who has national team experience, who's a very intelligent person, who understands the struggles of these clubs that are trying to aspire to someday be able to participate in something professional.
Mm-hmm.
And he's created a space where they can learn safely without massive financial repercussions, within reason. There's certainly penalties and things in place to make sure that things remain professional, but he's really driving that professionalism factor. And the fact that he's the only person for 3.5 hours that has a real full size futsal court
Right.
that teams can play on, he's utilizing it.
Right.
I think that maybe this local league and being announced as part of FCS is an opportunity to use an existing audience that he has to advertise that, hey, we're doing this local league. And anyone can, it almost makes it sound like anyone can join if it's just a rec league style. I also kind of see where his mind's at
Right.
splitting this up, because if you look historically at FCS, you have right in this picture we're looking at now, Flint City, who was in the last FCS, um, got or no, excuse me, that was 2 series ago, so almost a year ago. Flint City got just stomped. I mean, they had a really hard time keeping up with the teams that were there, um, and another team that announced on Instagram that they were going to be a part of this. They didn't say at what level. I don't think that's been determined yet. But Illinois FC as another team that came and became kind of the whipping boy of the series when they were there. Uh, those are teams that maybe if you put them together in a bracket, their players get more out of it.
Right.
But I would still argue that if you had, and I don't know if it'll be 8. I'm just saying if you even doubled the size of it, if you have enough that you're going to do 2 levels of this, I'm assuming he's at least thinking 8 teams, at least. Then okay, let's put an 8-team table together, have them play out a full season from, I don't know, November to whatever, and maybe everybody plays each other twice. Take the top 4 and do your usual playoff. And I think that you'd find that with those teams, and I'm only speculating because I've never seen any of them play, going back to the original issue, but I would speculate that it would even things out a little bit, at least mid-table. They're still seeing what that higher level is and what it could be from a guy like Jeremy that runs a Lansing that's extremely competitive, a BIH Grand Rapids who also plays all year round all together, so their chemistry's bar none. I think that they still get that exposure and see what they could be. And you're not going to get better playing bad talent. You're going to get better playing good talent. So maybe you pay your dues those first couple of years. I don't know. I don't know what the right answer to that is, but it's just interesting to me. I think that 2 things concern me, especially when I look through the pictures and stuff on their page. Like you see all those new seating they put in and everything. All these pictures in the background are fairly empty.
They're empty.
That concerns me. That really concerns me because, like, look at this. Look at all these empty seats behind BIH Grand Rapids.
Right.
So this isn't. I think Grand Rapids is an hour and a half drive from Lansing, maybe. And this picture was taken at the championship game, if I remember right, or one of the playoff games. There's nobody there. There's nobody there. Grand Rapids Olay, their women's team drew more fans to Ann Arbor for a game that nobody knew about than they're pulling in this, because there's just, yes, it's a safe place to go. Yes, it covers all the professionalism of properly trained referees, full-size court, in an actual arena that he's created. It's his vision that he's created and brought to life. That's all great. But these teams can't grow or capitalize on anything outside of individuals getting experience after that.
I think
because there's no way to find them.
I think we talked about this last time too, is that, they're growing. When you're growing your team, you want to grow a local support as well. And none of them are local. They're all in Lansing.
Yeah.
But
I would double down on that and say the reason that these seats are empty is I think that perhaps they've worn out the local audience. Every night is a doubleheader, so that it cuts down on travel time for these teams and cuts down on cost. And there's weekends that they play Saturdays and Sundays. They play each other on Saturday, they play each other on Sunday. It's too much for the local fan. They can't keep up with that.
It's like having a kid in soccer.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of these fans that are coming, they're coming because they have kids that are interested in the sport, and they're going and doing their own thing.
Right.
I went on a Sunday match, and it was Lansing versus WSG in the first ever series he did. And I think there were maybe 20 people in there. And I was shocked.
Well, here's the thing. Oh, fine. Who cares? No people there. Stream it. Please stream it. If you're not pulling a physical audience, pull a virtual audience.
Yes.
And that way you can come tune in for the match you want to watch. You can turn it off if you don't want to watch Grand Rapids. You know?
So, perfect example of all this. It ties back into what we were talking about with the streaming. It ties into growth of the sport here in the country. And FPL. How many subs do they have before the beginning of the season? Less than 100?
I can actually
That
pull
sound
all
right?
of
It was
that.
like
Yeah,
low
I think it was
90s or something.
under, right?
It was under or floating around 100 subs.
Right.
And to be fair, at the time the channel wasn't like, I don't want to say it wasn't utilized. I
It
don't think it
wasn't.
was utilized
It
to its full
wasn't utilized.
potential.
Well, here's the. I'll preface that comment. I'll turn it back to you. Is they had like Mason's channel. They had, I think, Michigan Futsal Factory channel, and I think Ducks had a channel, and they had NFPL channel, and they streamed on all of them.
Yeah, that was another part of the problem. So
Right.
that's an easy thing to fix. Okay, let's designate a channel and let's use it.
Right.
So they did that this year, and
Mhm.
they have what, 700 now, thereabouts,
I'm going
or
into it
800.
right now.
The point is, in one season,
Yeah,
several
600,
hundred.
669 subs,
There we go.
and we
We're up to
went
669.
we went 600 subs in a season.
So with YouTube changing the monetization to take advantage of Twitch's terms of service changes that have driven away streamers, they have dropped the requirements to 500 subs
Yep.
and 3,000 viewing hours in a year. And you need to have 3 recent uploads within 90 days of the time that you apply to be monetized. What that unlocks is the ability to donate and become a member of a channel. It's not going to make you a ton of money. You're not getting the ad revenue. You're depending on fans donating money to the channel because they love it that much. It's asking a lot. It's not going to make you rich overnight. But the reality is you can get yourself in a monetized position in a season if you just allow these teams from other places to show what they're working on.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all levels of skill in the NFPL. I mean, we saw teams that didn't win a single game. We saw teams that never lost a game, and all of them contributed to that number.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know. For me, I really struggle with the fact that that's another issue I have with. If you guys remember when we had our very first ever guest on Futsal News was Josh Danza with League One. We talked to him about that because he puts video highlights up from the games.
Mm-hmm.
And if you guys are still following League One or you haven't, you're going to be seeing some video premieres from Josh throughout this week from their first opening week of their summer series. And he mentioned some concerns around, well, I'm not sure I want to stream it because some of the level of futsal we're at, I don't feel is at a level that's worth streaming. I don't think people want to watch it. And I get that. And one of the things I really like about Josh, and from talking to Josh since then, is he knows where he is. He knows what he has. He doesn't blow it up to be a Premier League or a professional league. And he's adamant about that. But at the same time, I think he might be surprised at how many people start following along if they can watch the players in person and get to know people. We'll see. I think that development of some of these other leagues will help prove some of this stuff.
I think, and I've said this a lot, and I think you probably heard me say it as well, is I think there's some people out there. Well, no, we talked about this earlier, you and I, Jake. Here's the numbers real quick. This is in 365 days on the NFPL YouTube channel. 73,000 views up. We're up 73,000 views over 365 days. We're up 6,000 watch time hours, and we're up 651 subscribers.
It's beautiful. That's a beautiful thing.
Easy peasy. And we struggled. And I'm not going to like sugarcoat it. We're all volunteers. I had people ringing me like 15 minutes before kickoff, like, okay, what do we do? I'm like, oh geez. And it's no slight to them. And the thing is they're running their team. It's coaches. It's, moms and dads. I mean, they're pulling it together last minute. I don't begrudge them anything.
Yeah.
So, anyway, where was I? I just had a point I was going to talk about as well. Okay, we talked about this, Jake. There's probably a very small percentage. It's a lot of people, but it's a very small percentage or hardcore fans who understand exactly what's going on, who understand, though they're pulling the keeper, they're flying the keeper. Oh, we're at 5 fouls. This is the 6th foul. They're going to have a penalty kick, or oh, that's his second yellow. Like, there's people who follow along like that, who understand in the gravity of the situation. Oh, if they don't score 5 goals, they're not going to get the 6th seed in the playoff spot. Like just random information that like you and I probably are like, oh yeah, it's easy. Most fans are looking for something to watch that's exciting, that's being commentated on. They can understand, they can learn something. This goes for soccer as well. Um, and they want to see something like fans in the stands jumping up and down. They like to see the smoke in the stands, hopefully not too much smoke like some of the streams we've seen. But a lot
Yeah,
of
some of
fans
those
are,
Brazilian games are
yeah,
insane.
and most fans are bystanders. They just want to be a part of something that's great and something that's good. Um, so that's where I take contention with someone like Josh saying, "Oh, it's not good enough." Maybe, maybe not to like the real hardcore people, but to some of the average people, if you're putting together a good product, and that's why I say production, 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 production. We need to have great production, because whether or not, you know, Grand Rapids is just steamrolling someone, which I've encouraged them not to do. um,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter as long as the production is really high. You know, yeah, it's gonna be fine. We just need to show the sport to people, like how great it can be, how exciting it can be, whether or
Yeah.
not it's good teams or bad teams. We just need to show our sport in the best light possible, with commentators talking about how great things are. Um, yeah, that's kind of where I put it with Josh. I disagree, and the same with Jeremy. Like, you got to stream it, man. You got to show people what you're doing, and you're gonna find people who are interested that don't know anything about futsal but are happy to be there.
I'm gonna add a little bit of a hot take onto this.
Sure.
Um, and it ties into a couple different aspects, but I'm just gonna leave it lay as it is after I say this. But I've shared this, I think, only with Luke before this, so this is it's a little bit spicy, but I think that where our sport is right now in the United States, from top to bottom, I'm talking from USSF down to the open courts outdoors and that I see on TikTok in Northern Kentucky or wherever. There are there is such a shallow talent pool for uh, league managers and team managers at this point. And that's not to take away from some very good ones that are out there.
Mm.
First of all, I'm not calling anyone specifically out. I'm just saying, as a whole, there are too many people in the futsal industry right now that think they're bigger than the game. And they think that the game is theirs to own and not ours as the fans. And if one of these guys that is doing it right and is self-aware, like a Josh, like a Jeremy, and really takes this to the next level, they could rock futsal in the United States to the core and completely change it. Will it be a long road still? Yes, absolutely, 100%. There's still a lot of what, I used to watch Shark Tank all the time. You talk about having to educate a consumer and how that slows down the growth of a product, and a lot of times investors aren't interested in that. I think that's where we're at right now. We have a really great product that no one knows about, and we
Mm.
still have to do the work of educating the public on what it is,
Mhm.
and especially in the United States. One of the friends of the channel, Ransom Bance in England. I was sitting on one of his live streams. He was doing a live watch along of the NBA Finals, the last game of Miami and Denver, and it was super late at night for him, and he did it anyways. And I'm sitting there chatting with him in his chat, and he brought up how similar futsal and basketball is, in the sense that how
Mhm.
strategic it is,
Mhm.
the way the game is played, the pace of the game, the mindset of the game is so much like American basketball.
Mhm.
And to him, the end concept of that being, that's one of the reasons I'm shocked that futsal isn't bigger in the United States.
Mhm.
And I agreed with him 100%, and it's true. Like, this is a game that solves all the problems Americans have with soccer. You don't like the people fake fouls to waste time? Hey, great news. The clock stops in our game, so you can't waste time.
Mhm.
There's no advantage to killing the flow of a game, really. I mean, you could still kill the flow and maybe get it back in your favor, but to fake a foul makes little to no sense in futsal. Uh, you don't like that, it's slow. Hey, great news. It's so much about counterattacks and fast pace and fast thinking. You're going to love this. You don't like that there's only one or two goals a game, or a game can end 0-0. Rarely happens in futsal. all these things that fix the problem that the average sports fan in the US doesn't like. You know, eh, you take away the fact that a football game scores touchdowns by 6 points at a time, it's not that much different.
No.
Okay. Like that's a 6-5 game. All right. Like let's relax. Okay. Like, and that's if it's a high scoring game. Most games are still 3-4 or whatever, when you think about it. And they might have kicked for some of those points. They didn't even make it to the end of the field.
Right.
So I think that way about this. And I think that's what's the major component that's holding. I think there's two major components holding it back, but I think that's one thing. It's just a consumer education. And I think that, Luke, I think you and I in our lifetime, we'll probably, if we're lucky, we'll be really old when this thing takes off, but maybe we'll see it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll see a professional league in the US before we kick the bucket, but it's going to be tough. I think it's really going to be tough. I look at where England's at. I think England's 10 to 15 years ahead of us.
Yeah.
And they're still not at a level that's truly professional.
Right.
So something to think about where we're at. But I think that, especially with a guy like Josh or Jeremy that's young, they got a lot of years to invest that energy that they have for futsal. One of those guys makes a decision that they want to really blow this up, give the full production value, and I think the production value is what's going to take it to the next level, because we can't educate people if they haven't ever heard of it before.
Yeah.
Putting this stuff on YouTube will help. That's a really long answer to that concept.
No, I agree. I agree.
Where I stand on it.
I think what's hard, and it's not a slight to anyone, is that immediately when you get into it, you say, how can I make money?
Yeah.
And it's just the American way. It's capitalism. It's just what it is.
Yes.
And, it is true. You do want to make money, but at the same time, you kind of got to realize, I don't know. I think we're not good at this as Americans. We say, well, if I'm going to do this, I need to make at least like 3 figures, at least 3 figures, to make it worth it. And I think we need people coming into this saying, someone like a teacher, you know what I mean? I'm not doing this to get rich. I'm doing it because, I like most teachers you see, they love to teach. Yeah, it's a bad situation right now, but you see people, they love to teach. They're doing it because they love to teach. They love to be with the kids. And I think you have to have that same love for futsal, which is, I love futsal. I love playing it. I love seeing it. It doesn't matter if I'm making $200,000 a year. I can live in a little bit of a lower income household and do things a little bit differently in my life to make ends meet and to push this forward. People who understand that and want to and are okay with that, I think, you and I coming on and helping with some of these leagues in America, we're not doing it because we have our hand out. That's not why we're doing it.
Right.
We're doing it because we like futsal and we love futsal, and the community that we found in futsal is amazing. And the friends and family we found in futsal is amazing. Seeing people succeed and grow clubs and grow people, just people coming up, watching Ricketts play at, before she got signed. I still get kind of goosebumps that we got to see her playing futsal and announce and just say, hey, look at this little stud. Look at her running around. And then she gets signed as the youngest ever woman in professional in the, whatever the league is called.
WPSL, I think, right?
Yeah. Women's Professional Soccer League or whatever. Yeah. It was amazing. That type of stuff that's what pays the bills for me. And I think we need more people like that and less people thinking, how can I flip a dollar on this league? I think in the same breath, I feel like we can make some money. We stand to make some money, but like you said, it needs time to grow.
It needs a lot of time. The young people involved in our sport now probably won't see that money. I think it's going to be the next generation of people that are able to find a way to make it work.
Right.
I think back to 2012, the World Cup in South Africa. And the reason that I have so many memories of that World Cup is as a teenager, I went to the store. I bought the special edition Sports Illustrated. I just saw it come out for the Women's World Cup. The special edition Sports Illustrated magazine that covers every single team in the tournament. And the biggest thing I remember is driving on our way to vacation and me reading that in the back of the car. And I don't know who the author was that wrote this, but they made a comment about how national teams tend to take on the personality of the culture of the country they're from. The Brazilians kind of having that smooth, like dance-like approach to the game. Everything's very rhythmic. It's very sexy. The English being very physical and strong. They have a very physical, strong game like their people are. The Germans being very tactical and mechanical about what they do. It's all very, very, very not stiff, but it's just very like to the point,
Calculated.
and also having a physical concept to their game as well. Yeah, very calculated. Thank you. I think about that stuff and what I read in that article, and it really put an imprint in my head about the sport of soccer. And it really, I loved soccer as a kid, playing it, but watching it, 2012 was when I really fell in love with watching it, because that article really opened my eyes to the artistic backdrop that soccer creates.
Right.
And it made me realize why these other countries are so passionate about it, is they see themselves in their own game. And when I look at the game today and I think about where the United States is, I agree. The United States takes on the personality of its culture in US soccer, in the USSF. Unfortunately, that persona and that US image is capitalism.
Right.
We have people involved in the game to make money, not because they love the sport.
Right.
And it's from top to bottom. It starts with USFF. It ends with your local club. Some of those coaches and club owners in your local backyards, you should really watch what they're doing with your kids. They have no idea what they're doing. They are collecting a paycheck and you don't even know it.
No.
And for me, that drives me absolutely bonkers. And I think that that's part of the problem with futsal, is everybody's trying to find a get-rich-quick scheme out of futsal, and they're missing the mark. They're missing what it could be in the long term because they want to make money now. And it kind of ties into my previous comment. I think that there is a really low ceiling for intelligent individuals in futsal right now that could take this to the next level. It's guys thinking about, how can I make money now? Unfortunately, you can't think that way right now. It's not there. If it was, we'd already have the PFL would be a thing right now. We wouldn't be having this conversation.
Right.
That's the reality. So all these greedy, and I'm just going to say it, and if it gets around to somebody, when the national team staff got fired, I made a comment on a Facebook page that the owner of that Facebook page thought was a little rough around the edges. I'll put it that way. And it's someone I really respected, so I apologized and I toned it down, but I left my comment up, but I did tone it down. But the reality is this: like these people that are involved are more interested in themselves and the politics and the money than the sport. And we need some kind of nuclear bomb to come in and just blow this thing up and make it what it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that's going to take some really big movers and shakers to do. It's going to take a ton of work that doesn't pay off. And it's a real shame, because I think that we were finally at a point where we had someone towards the top that was fostering the bottom to make those natural roots grow.
Right.
I think back to an interview between Futsal Focus and the Westcliff University head coach of over there in California. And he quoted Dushan in a quote that he said that you cannot build a house starting from the roof. And unfortunately, our whole damn house in this sport is condemned right now.
Right.
Soccer, futsal, all of it. Absolutely all of it. I mean, there needs to be very major changes. Look at the outdoor game that U.S. soccer is supposed to be in charge of. You just went through several months of all this stupid drama over a coach and a parent fighting. And what was the end result? The parent's kid is on the field right now with a temporary coach. They ended up having to appoint two different temporary coaches because of the shuffle. Two guys that nobody's ever heard of before.
Yeah.
Not to take away from them. They did a great job in this nothing cup that we just did. They won it. Great. Congratulations. But they did do well. It's a very young team with a lot of talent. I think that's got a lot to do with it. And then now the coach is back. And it's like, so wait, we just embarrassed ourselves in front of the entire world over the last year with daddy coach issues and politics for the same guy to be in charge. Why did we do that exercise? If they can't get their own sport right, how can we expect them to take care of futsal? They have no clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
And I think your comment as to the national team takes on the identity of the country is absolutely right. We look scattered. we look petty, and we look divided.
Yeah.
That's the U.S. That's who we are. And it's just, to me, I think what, like we were talking earlier about Brazil, and I think, I think a lot of these dynamic players come from nothing. Messi recalls playing in the streets. So
Yeah.
does Neymar, from
Gardino
nothing.
started in the
They
streets.
were in the streets playing, because not because they were trying to get on the A team of so and so whatever Premier League in their youth academy in their city. That's not what they were doing. That's not it. And the fact they I've seen these players, and they don't care where they play as long as they're allowed to play. They don't care. They do not care. The people who care, coach, people making money, people with interest in what it's going to do for them. The kids just want to play, and that's where I feel like in sports, that's where we need to be at. I want to see kids just want to play. And I did a facility back in the day, and one of the things I focused on was open play. And I threw a ball out there, and I said, they're like, well, what do we do? And I'm like, what do you mean? What do you do? I have a facility, and you paid to be here for 2 hours. What do you think we're supposed to do here?
Yeah, go
And I
have some
wasn't
fun.
being
Learn the
mean,
game.
and I was like, I'm trying to get them to invest in themselves. I wanted to see this kind of more, and it reminds me a lot of what Joy does in Minneapolis. Is this kind of like idea of, it's a free for all. It's literally like just feral play, just kids running around. And I kind of believe in it. I kind of really believe in it, because I want to see the kids like organize yourselves. You put a goalie to put captains. We used to do it on the playground. I don't know if you grew up in that era. Like, pick a couple
Yeah.
captains, pick teams. And the teachers were not involved. This was on playground. This was
Right.
playground rules. And I feel like that type of investment and that type of thinking, when you're like, and I remember being like, oh, I'm Jose Canseco, or I'm Mark McGuire. Like, you step up to bat and you want to be that person.
Yeah.
I just want to see that again in these kids, is this want to be something more, and to play for fun, and to play because we not once when I was pretending to be my sports hero did I ever think about how much money they made.
Right.
I just thought they were cool.
Right. You thought about the fans cheering for you and how cool they were,
Right.
and how they carried themselves and
Yeah.
had this aura. Yeah.
And how they
You know,
played, and they played well, and you're like, look how like they hit the ball at the park, or look how he scores the goal, or look how he dribbles. That's what I want to do. And
we've
it's not the
managed to
money.
find a way as a country to do this sport completely different from the way it works everywhere else.
Right.
And then we wonder why we're not successful.
Yeah.
We started this stream off talking about Brazil, how their kids are playing in the streets,
Right.
and they're not playing in a formal soccer game until they're a teenager. And in the meantime, in the United States, we have choked out those kids that can play in the streets. We've choked out an entire class of people
Right.
that never see the game beyond being a kid and kicking a ball around down the alleyway. They never get the opportunity to do it because we've choked them out because of the capitalism in our sport. Look, right, wrong, different. Everybody needs to make a living. I don't expect our soccer fanatics and our soccer coaches to do this for free. That's not what I'm trying to say. But what I will say is as a country, and we're not the only ones guilty of it either. Going back to conversations I've had with Ransom Bance, England has the exact same problem.
Yeah.
This is what I said to him. I said, because he was complaining about how the FA has, they're constantly talking about wanting to fine everybody, and he brings a fresh young look to team ownership, and I don't think that they like that.
Right.
And so he's had some run-ins with the league over some of the stuff he does. Whether you like it or not, he's trying to do it different and put eyeballs on it. I give him credit for that. But the reality of the situation is and I said it to him, this is exactly what I said. I said, they have taken the game of the streets and found a way to monetize it and destroy it. England is just as guilty.
Right.
We are just as guilty. And, England has such a rich culture in the outdoor game that you don't see it impact their outdoor team as much, because they already have the centuries old clubs that have found a way to do this where it doesn't cost the real talent money. But on the futsal side, they're doing it just as wrong as we are, and they're suffering for it.
Yeah.
Helvetia, before Rance took over, was the only team that ever made it to the Champions League qualifiers, and they have never made it past the qualifying stage.
Right.
Ever.
Yeah.
That's their best team. has never made it past qualifying. From England, where soccer talent is thick.
Yeah.
How? Well, you're ignoring an entire class of people
Yeah.
that are really good at this game. We may be known as the melting pot here in the United States, but England has just as much diversity as we do,
Right.
really, in today's world.
Right.
And I think that we see a lot of parallels and mistakes. They're ahead in some things. They got the TV deal, although it's shaky. They've got legitimate pro rel, but oh boy,
Right.
I see them making a lot of the same mistakes we are.
It's rough, and I think we see a lot of the evils, and I don't, trust me, I'm not here to preach money is bad, but at the same time, I think it's all in moderation. Whatever you do in extreme is going to turn out. There's going to be bad outcome somewhere. Like, so if you were like full on in on raking money, you're going to suffer somewhere, and it's going to pay. Someone's going to pay the price. And I just think soccer is there because I've seen some of the stuff, and it does bleed into futsal. And I think what I was naive enough to feel like, I could start some futsal things here in my local town and be insulated. And it wasn't true. I mean, people feel threatened, people feel territorial, people feel like they need to. And the thing was, I was like, I'm not here. I was in the wrong part to make money. I specifically went there. I was in my hometown. Like, the rich part is Boise. The Nampa Caldwell were the lowlies. And I said, I'm going to start it over here for the lowly people. And it's just funny, like, people like really asserting their dominance and saying, no, we're doing this, instead of saying, how can we support you? Can we work together? I just think that type of stuff it's just not looked at. It's like, squelch that. Do it our way or the highway, and not let's work together. Let's bring these kids up no matter where we're at. Like, this town, yeah, we support your program. Yeah, we support your program. We're going to do our thing in our town. Or, just stuff like that. Just like, let's help each other. Let's all come together and go forward. I think that's that kind of kumbaya stuff that really gets squelched with like a super capitalist, ideal going forward. But yeah, I think, I think we just need to reassess amateur status and not feel like we need to conquer the world, but we need to conquer just running a club at a time, and just say, hey, how can we get these fellas to a game, feed them, give them a little bit of money for their time, not get rich, but just like, how can we do that? Let's do that first, and then let's move on from there. And that's my take, is that let's get these amateur guys at least fed, like, get them dinner for the night. And like I said, if you're watching these streams and you're enjoying it, donate. You want to help grow the sport?
It's completely free, but it still benefits them.
Yeah, watch. But at the very least, watch, comment. Anyway, that's my take.
Absolutely. Well, I think we're gonna wrap it up there.
Yeah,
we've vented long enough. I hate to end on a bad note, but the reality is, we're looking around the world. We're seeing what it can be. Yeah. We're seeing how exciting it can be, and we want it here. We're passionate about wanting it here. That's why Luke and I do what we do on this channel.
Right.
That's why we volunteer our time to the leagues that are willing to accept our help on stuff like streaming. We both have good intentions. We're not here, like we said, to get rich. We're here to make the sport rich in the sense that it has more people involved and more fans and has more culture. So with that in mind, I encourage you guys, if you haven't already, if you like the sounds of this, be sure to like and subscribe. It helps the channel out so we can grow this network of futsalers and continue to get the word out to the people and educate them on what this sport can be. Also, if you want to join us on our Discord, we share links to live streams there of games like we talked about. We're constantly on the hunt for them on Facebook, YouTube. We do all that and post them there. And there's even a couple of members there too that are creators of their own in the space that you can network with as well and see more content. So that's really important to us, is just creating a place where we can all talk, grow together with positive vibes. So make sure you guys follow along for the channel. We'll be covering a few more topics here through the month in our traditional videos. I will, like I said earlier, do my best to keep those neutral. I want those to be more just so you know, and let you create your own thoughts and opinions on our sport and our game. I want to hear what you guys think. So when you see those things come up, make sure you comment on it. Comment on this video. Let us know what you think, and continue to brainstorm with us on how we can make this sport take off.
Right.
So we'll sign off from here. As usual, we have loved chatting. Hopefully, we'll see some guests here later in the year. I think that, admittedly, I think that our concept here of this going on live in front of a chat is sometimes intimidating. So we don't always have guests. I understand why. That said, if anyone's brave enough to join us on here and let the chat take the wheel and kind of steer the interviews in some cases when they're here with us, we're a growing channel. We want to continue to do that and get the word out for you as well on what you're working on in futsal. So reach out to us either in DM. My email is in the description as well if you prefer email. And that goes to a specific page specifically for this channel so I can keep track of you. Outside of that, thank you guys as always for watching. And until we see you in the next live stream, make sure you play with your soul.